See you on the flip side, Bo.
Hi. Okay, stop.
Damn House fam, what's happening? It's your girl Mix a Lot. We're here for another backstage pass. I feel like we're on our like fourth or fifth backstage pass in any number of days, but I'm excited for this one. I got my homegirl Danielle Middleton here. She is what is it, senior manager of North America? Oh, you're muted. I'm gonna unmute you. Let's see. How'd that go?
Hello. Hi.
All right now. It's giving retrograde already again.
Oh my God. Is it not? It's like, I just told you retrograde just like, stop. Forgive us, everybody. We're getting owned by Mercury. But yeah, I'm so happy to be here. I'm a senior director of North America, which really just means I touch everything that we do in the States, really. And I stay Black and work hard. Hello.
I know that's right. That's all the ancestors said we gotta do.
Shit, literally. And like
yes. Stay, what is it? Stay Black, work hard, stay alive, but then die. That's what my grandpa used to say.
Yeah.
That's all I have to do.
Gosh, I was about to go dark, but I won't.
Don't let the retrograde get to you, girl. When you were a kid, what'd you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, that's a good question. I did want to be a singer really early on because I used to sing when I was younger. And so my parents kind of thought I would do that. They thought I would be an opera singer.
Opera?
Yeah, girl. I used to sing opera when I was little. So like my parents loved like anything free, honestly, like any free activity. So I could sing, especially if it was like educational.
Sure.
Yeah, we had like no fun, but basically I could sing. My mom found out that like the Metropolitan Opera had a children's chorus. And I auditioned and I was doing that for a really long time. And it just seemed like, yeah, I'm gonna be a singer. But then thank God I had the wherewithal to be like, you know what? I'm good. Like, I actually don't know if this is for me. And just hindsight, I think we talked about this a while ago. It's like, when you just realize things as an adult that you just don't realize,
I feel like adulthood is nothing but that.
Exactly. Like, I feel like I'm learning so much more about myself being like 36 than I ever did. But I'm so grateful that like my young mind was like, my voice isn't mine anymore. And it really wasn't, because it was very much a job. And I'm so grateful for it because it definitely, trained my ears. Like I was literally singing with like the best voices in America, really. I had no idea, but it definitely trained my ear once I kind of went into A&R, but I also very much learned like my voice is not my own. This is a job. Like I had shows during the week and then every Saturday was rehearsal. So being like a young kid, like I was 6 when I started, I think I'm realizing now, like, oh, I didn't really have that much of a childhood because, I was collecting a check for this. So I 100% was working. So yeah, I originally like I did think I wanted to be a singer and then I didn't.
And at what point were you like, nah, this isn't the wave?
When I left at around 12, 13, and it did feel like, okay, I still have this voice, and my parents were constantly telling me about my voice. And I don't know. I think also like when you have Black parents who are just so like survive, do what you're good at, like make money, they kind of just push you in shit without really like thinking like, do you like this? How does it make you feel?
It's like, it's not about happiness. It's about hustle.
It's about like keeping a roof over your head and food on the table. And that, those are really just basic needs that literally every human needs. So I think I just didn't really know what it would look like if I was like a pop singer or whatever. And then I went to school for vocal performance and I hated it. I was like, this is just not the vibe. But then I learned what A&R was because I made sure I did like a music business like degree, which like
that's so funny.
I know.
That's so funny.
It's like I have very expensive friends because I learned dick from school. Like I literally just learned that all I needed to do was like work, and I don't know if there's like college kids out here. I'm definitely not saying quit school.
No, tell them the truth. Tell them the truth.
No, but like really, like college is not going to teach you how to do this job. It just isn't. It's going to give you very good people skills, and if you are in music classes, like you might really learn really great musical skills. But I think the industry changes so much; it's impossible to like put it in a bottle and like teach it. Like there's some fundamental things. Like I wish I didn't even have a class on contracting, and right. I wish I did because. Like hindsight, flash forward to me being like an A&R, like I wish I had, the weight to like understand some of this legal stuff. And I didn't have that. So I'm really grateful that I had, there's such wonderful attorneys at Sony who definitely let me sit down and ask any kind of question. And I had a million of them. Yeah. But I don't even remember what you asked me, girl. Did I answer it? I really don't remember.
It don't matter. Whatever the hell I asked you, that was a good ass answer. Okay.
Oh my
So
god.
like, what's your like superhero origin story? So like, you're an opera singer as a child. This is a very interesting life you've led
I know.
thus far. You're an opera singer as a
Jesus.
child. You go to school for vocal performance / music industry.
Yeah. And then
what?
Okay, and then the recession happens. And I was like, fuck. So once I decide that, like, okay, A&R is totally what I want to do, because at this time, Grey's Anatomy was coming out. There's like, yes.
This is why we ended up talking for 2.5 hours.
Oh yeah,
the last time we talked, because we took like a 45-minute detour into Grey's Anatomy.
I know. I don't even watch it anymore, but I still am like, so like, it was such a big part of my life, especially in terms of like a music explosion.
Yeah.
And I just don't think Spotify was around then, but Grey's Anatomy comes out and me and my little girls were like watching this new show and we're like, gosh, the music is really good. Mm-hmm. And so we're like trying to find, this is when I realized like, I should do A&R, because I'm like trying to find, like typing in lyrics in Google. And then I was like, who's this The Fray? And then I just learned so much stuff. I mean, Alexandra Patsavas, who is still queen to me.
Alex Patsavas.
Shout out Alex. Like,
you have no idea how many of our queens you are, Alex Patsavas. Like,
she has no idea. And like, I genuinely, if you ever get her on the show, like, can I please come back and just have some chats? Because what she did so well, and it's not just the Grey's Anatomy thing, she's done like Twilight. She's so pivotal to a bunch of millennials who were like, oh my gosh, why am I crying? Oh my goodness, what is Postal Service? Like, or what was it? It was like Death Cab for Cutie. All these indie people that I love were put on. And I thought it was just so rad that she was able to really breathe life and give a spotlight to these indie bands. Like, they were nobodies back then, no shade. Like, they actually were.
Yeah, they were
really huge.
I think that they would tell you that too. Like, yeah. she changed a ton of people's lives and careers.
Yeah, and thank God. I mean, and from my understanding, like, I wasn't in the music industry at that point, but like looking back now, the music industry was really struggling. And so music supervisors really just breathed life into a lot of these artists. And like, I would listen. So then I was like, Grey's Anatomy, beyond it being like the show, we were always waiting for the music. Like, how do we get this music? What is this new song? And then I'd find the song and I'd listen. And, you know, back in the day, there was something called CDs and people made mixtapes. I'm only saying this because my weed guy was like, what, like, how much it was a CD? And I was like, how old are you? You have a whole beard. And like, he wasn't even like that much younger than me, and he had no idea how much like CDs cost, what the book was.
They disappeared overnight, bro. I actually talk about this often. Like, if we had time here, I would get into what I think is a vast and insidious conspiracy theory about it. Like, where did they all go? But anyway,
where did they all go? And then also, are there still lines in record labels that talk about like the break fee? Remember they had that. It was like a breaking fee for vinyls. I wonder. Anyways, neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Homegirl Alexandra Patsavas just put us all on the most amazing music, and I was like, okay, I want to be like her. And I kind of figured out that might have been like A&R. And then my professors were like, you're probably never going to do this. The music industry is dying. And I was so mad because I was like, I finally figured out what I wanted. I knew I didn't want to be face forward as a creative person, but I knew I wanted to like be a part of the journey to like help somebody or help them get exposure. And at the time also, I was like living close to Pasadena, and that's where Chop Shop Records was, which is her whole label. I still think she's the coolest. Like, I really truly hope. Have you met her?
I haven't.
Oh,
She's the
like
coolest.
I pray to God she is like hardcore, like everyone's best friend, because I just love her so much. But I would
Let's
cold
manifest
call.
meeting her by the end of the year, I
Oh
think.
my
Let's get that.
gosh, Mercury, don't hold us
Just
back. But
don't
like
hold us
I
back, Mercury. Enough
don't hold us
dragging
back.
us. Like, just
Yes,
give us the things that we want.
give me my favorite music supervisor ever. So, anyways, I would cold call and be like, "Hey, can I just like clean up? Can I please be an intern?" And they were like, "No, no, no." But eventually, I was just like, I really like the idea of A&R. I tried management. I had a very big management company as an intern, and it just didn't feel right. And then I eventually like, of course, the I almost said pandemic. The other thing that we went through.
Recession,
Thank
right?
you.
One of the many other things that we've
Shit,
been through as
that other thing.
geriatric millennials. Yeah.
God damn. Yeah. So like that happens. And I was just like, could not find a job. I moved back home. My parents are like, be a teacher, because everyone's a teacher in my family. And I was like, y'all, it's either music industry or I'm homeless. And like, I think my sister started to cry because she was like, oh my God, she's really gonna be homeless. Excuse me. And then I was just looking and searching for jobs. I worked at a venue in Brooklyn. It was a really shitty experience, but it's okay. And then I got a reception job at Sony ATV in New York. And I was just like, look, it's reception. I knew it was not like my forever job, but I knew I needed the name on my resume. I was just like, okay, I'll just be like a kick-ass fucking receptionist. And I was really good. Like I was very, very
Yo,
good at
look
it.
where it got you, yo. Like it's
Yeah.
actually I don't think that I knew that you started at Sony
Oh
ATV as a
yeah,
receptionist.
I literally started from the bottom, and I would like come in early. I was so excited because it was my first corporate job. And like I was so excited. I would come early, and like Aretha Franklin came. And that's when I knew like I made it. I had
Yeah,
done
like I'm in the
absolutely
building.
nothing. Yeah. But like she came and she's little. She's like she was so little. And like all of a sudden there was like a whisper in the office. They were like, Aretha's coming. And I was like, I was like wiping down all this stuff. And I will never forget this. So she came because to our floor because she was meeting with Clive Davis, who was all the way up. I think he was on the 26th or 28th floor, something ridiculous. And she's like, does not do heights. And God bless her. And she is so committed to this. She was like, I ain't going up there. So she had my boss at the time, Marty Bandier, who was our global CEO. Clive asked if they could use his office. And like, I've never seen Marty give up his office for anyone. And she came in.
Listen, if it's
It
not
was
for
so
Aretha,
rad.
who the hell is
I
it for?
mean, right? So like she came off and I'm like just really smiley. And I will never forget, she was like, hello, sweetheart. And then Marty comes out and we're just listening to her play her next record. Like, oh, it was everything.
That is history.
It was so good. It was, and she even like sang in the bathroom. Like she like went to the bathroom and was singing. Like my colleague was like, "Oh my gosh, she sings in the bathroom." It was the coolest moment ever. And I think we saw Chris Cornell. Like Chris Cornell came in right before he died too. It was crazy. Those were the best early days, and I learned a lot. And I really learned a lot from just like watching Marty and how he really did the job. It was really like it was intense to watch because he really, I mean, my goodness, he really knew that how to push the company to the next 10 years. And it was just really interesting. The way I can describe it, it was just like choreography. Like he just could see things coming in ways that I never understood. But now, like sitting in a little mini executive seat, I just now like I'm noticing certain things that we do at Page One that I'm like, I know I got that from Marty Bandier. Like he really, really is such a great businessman. But anyways, I moved off the desk. I worked my ass off. I was like an assistant. I did fucking everything I possibly could. And then I got my way into A&R, and that was a whole nother set of greatness and a lot of challenge. And then eventually, like 7 years in, I was like, why am I not getting paid? Okay. What are we doing? So
Right.
in the end, for me, it was just time for me to move on. And I did. I'm so grateful for my roster. Shout out to the roster if anybody is watching. I had such an amazing roster who I can still call friends today, but they definitely were like, it was just us against the world pretty much. And it was really awesome and challenging and a whole bunch of other things that it was. And now I'm in a new gig. I started like pretty much a year ago. And it's kind of great. Like, I'm having like a lot of fun.
I'm gonna back up the truck a little
Back
bit.
up. Okay.
Number one, I must know
Yes.
what floor was the office on? Like, what is Aretha's what was her
Oh.
personal threshold for height?
5.
5. Okay.
5.
For all the children watching, Aretha Franklin notoriously hated heights, such that she wouldn't even get on airplanes. Like, she would leave hundreds of millions of dollars on the table every year because she wouldn't tour Europe for like 20 or 30 years. And like, for me personally, it's my tail is wagging knowing that like she was dead ass about that. Like,
dead ass.
like
I don't
to the extent that she's like, I'm not going higher than 5. Y'all figure it out. Like,
figure it out. I'm Aretha
when they
Franklin.
say diva, they mean bitch, but like that's actual diva shit.
It is actual diva shit.
That's queen shit.
Like, literally though, respect. Legit. RESPECT. Okay. Like,
and the way everybody in the building snapped too, baby. Clive was like, bitch, don't even worry about it. I'm gonna call me Marty. Like, it's all like
exactly.
the way that.
Yep. And we were just outside. It was such a wonderful moment. Honestly, it makes me want to call him. Like, we were just sitting together. He was sitting in reception. I'm at the desk and we're just listening. And we're like, holy
so cool.
crap. I know. It was so cool. And there's just moments like that in the industry, you know, like now that we're in this shit and like, you know, we see famous people, you start to be like, who are the people like the people that really like get me? Like, I saw Kendrick Lamar in a parking lot whenever I was in LA. I think maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I don't even know. When was I in LA? I have COVID. Anyways.
You've got COVID. You just came back from a vacation. Like, there's a lot going on.
I wish it was a vacation, girl. I just came back from work, going across the country a million times, but like I go out and I see this guy in like a little bucket hat and I'm like, I wonder who that is.
Too.
He's so small.
And cute.
He's just like a little black angel. Like, I genuinely was like, I'm like walking and I see him and we just look at each other. And I was like, be cool, be cool, be cool, be cool, be cool. When all I really wanted to do was like, thank you so much. We do not deserve you. You are a genius. I don't give a fuck what you do. You can say whatever you want. You will never be canceled. I love you. Like, that's how much I love Kendrick. Like, my God, it was so rad. So like, Kendrick is a big one. You will never
be canceled. It's so funny.
I know. I mean, I really hope he will never be canceled. Like, please don't do anything. But like, to me right now, Kendrick, you are like Black baby Jesus to me at this moment. So what am I saying?
Black baby Jesus, aka
shout out.
Kendrick. So you work in the reception desk and you work your way up, and then all of a sudden you're in charge of a roster, like your roster. Yeah. What is it about? I feel like you've got a special kinship with writers and producers specifically. Where did that come from? Like, what is it about them for you?
Oh, I love them so much.
You really funny.
I really do. I really do, because like, without our writers and producers, what music would we have? You know, when you really break down, like, you know, these people are so undervalued. It makes me like really upset. They're so undervalued. They're so underappreciated. Like they are not getting proper rates. Like, and then they have to fight to be properly compensated. And what bothers me, credited properly, and then compensated. And when you think, what bothers me about it is like, dude, like, you know how hard it is to come up with a note, like, especially when like people who have never ever done music, sang in music, done anything really tangibly in music, or done anything with a song or creative work. It's just the disrespect that writers and producers get, which is like beyond frustrating to me. And when I was at Sony, we very much knew, you know, we are their advocates. Like, you know, you really need to try. I also had like, I had a really great, I had some great people there that really kind of instilled to me, like, you know, your first line of defense. And so, you know, to me, I just, writers and producers go through so much. Like, they go through a lot creatively, because once you're making this record, then you gotta like, okay, how do I get someone to hop on it? Or maybe you're writing it in a session and like, how do I get this to be a real song? And then, you know, these songs are like journeys. Like, people have records. I mean, my guys have a record that like they did 2 years ago that's just coming out. And like, now I'm in the middle of fighting for them to be properly paid because they need to fucking eat. Like, they need to eat, they need to pay their bills, they need to be able to do this. So I just love my writers, man. Like, it's such a wonderful community of creative people who literally just need someone to fight for them. Like, that's it. So I don't know, I've just met the most amazing writer and producers in my time at Sony, and they've changed my life. Honestly, I'm getting so emotional. I really am. I am getting emotional because, like, you know, I love these people. I really, really love these people. And just like when you're a part of the journey with someone who like had nothing, I mean, like, I can't even tell you how many people I know who were like, I gotta get a job. Like, I can't do this anymore. I gotta get a job. And then the song comes, and, you know, watching people's lives change, it's just so amazing to be a part of. Yeah, man.
I think the other thing about that too is that, like, as consumers, as fans, very rarely, you know, you think of all these people as like overnight successes, right? Like, a hit song comes on so quickly in so many cases, especially like with the current musical climate, that you just think, oh man, look, this motherfucker wrote this shit last week. And like now, like a millionaire. And it's just like, no, that isn't, like, that song's been that's the 800th iteration of that song. And that person's been trying to shop it for probably upwards of 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years. Yeah. Yeah. And then not only that, to have repeated no's, like the skin of a writer, man, like to have your work like cut down to size. Like, yes, we can always say it's the industry and you gotta have tough skin, but like, we do need to be kind, and we do need to realize, like, okay, it might not be the best for my ears, but this person has worked hard on it. And even though there might be changes that need to be made, there's just a way to deliver that is not dehumanizing or demoralizing. And I, you know, I hope that has changed a lot, but I just feel like as we talk more about mental health, especially in the music industry, and we talk about the things that we all know to be true, eventually there has to be a real culture shift. You know, it has to be like embedded. Like, you know, everybody wants to talk about mental health. I always say like mental health and like diversity. Those are they're the words of the day.
Buzzwords. Everyone's loving those right now.
Oh my God. If you're afraid of being called out, just say you're a diverse person and you care about diversity. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I care about mental health.
You're not canceled anymore. Cool. It's all good.
Yeah, it's okay. Oh, it's okay. Yeah. So like eventually I would just love that to be like real. And I don't really think it is just yet, but I do feel like, you know, those of us on like come up are very much like not into you know, people playing games, I think.
Yeah.
At least that's what I feel. I feel like there's a little tiny culture shift on the low that's happening.
I think it is. I think it's on the low too. I think that we're talking a lot about mental health right now at FemHouse because it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and we just did some talks about it last week and etc. But like, it is a really important conversation to be had, right? And it's just like, music is the culture. So like, what does it say about us that our culture is in shambles in a lot of time, in a lot of ways, in a lot of you know, very specific sort of like unfortunate, the way we treat creatives is shitty, the way we treat artists is shitty, the way we treat writers, producers, people of color, all these people, queers, you know what I mean, like just all the people that are the culture, that keep the culture going, that are responsible for the culture, just continually get exploited and shit on, and like and no one talks about how that impacts your mental, and
oh my
like
gosh.
let alone, it's hard to be all those things just in the world, but like,
oh my god, are you like seriously, it's definitely super duper hard, and it just feels like, you know, I'm just like tired of the double standard. I'm a pretty black and white person in certain ways. It might be just because I'm from Brooklyn, and that's just, I mean what I say what I mean, period, right? And what I think it is like when there's still problems with the culture, that to me says there's problems at the top. Because like the most influential people who pay for this culture are still unwilling to make adequate change. And the only reason why I feel like we're still here is because there's job insecurity at the top. Like seriously, there's job insecurity at the top. Like it's just really like we need to, you know, stop being afraid of like the class below us, or I kind of think of everything in school terms, but like, you know, the people who are on the come up right now, like they're smarter than us. Like I know that. Like I'm not like fuck, like I'm not super tech savvy. Like I definitely feel like as I've gotten older, there's been like a cap almost, like things are not as fluid with me, you know what I mean? Like, you remember when all of a sudden all the acronyms were like shit you didn't understand, and I'm like, what is Jwhitedidit? Like, you know what I mean? Like
the other day I had an emotional breakdown because I was like, who the hell told these kids that ASL wasn't a age sex location, but as hell? I was furious, actually. Like,
girl, do you know how far back I went? I was like, American Sign Language, and then I was like, oh yeah.
Danielle, please.
I swear to God, that's the first thing that came. I'm like, oh yeah, no, it was age sex location at some point. I forgot. But like, yeah, that's the shit that I'm talking about. But like, I think it's important for us to embrace that, like, we're not gonna know everything that's current. I'm okay with that. Because I'm tired and I also like to go to bed. So like I know that I'm right, for real. Like I know I'm not gonna know everything. And I think a really mature executive is someone who embraces like, okay, let me embrace the kid who is super hungry, who may be a little too big for his britches, but like, how do I not let that hurt me, but let that help me? Because it's an opportunity to engage with a completely different generation who has a completely different set of values, and just things come quicker to the younger generation. That's what it's supposed to do. But
I mean, it's just like it's more efficient working. It's like,
oh my gosh,
continually keep your finger on the pulse of like the culture of what's happening, and like you're gonna learn as much as they're gonna learn from you. And it's just like there's no shame in saying that you can learn something from
exactly. So like, why wouldn't you
just always gonna want to learn? So
exactly. And if you're just nice to people, like it's really just a kindness thing. Like just be nice, embrace them, and like teach them. It's not like, you know, I didn't know what I didn't know until I didn't know what I didn't know. And I think there's that kind of energy in the music industry that's like, you got to be tough. You have to be okay with having thick skin. You know, you've got to figure it out. You need to hustle. Like, this is all really dangerous shit. And this is all coming from the same people who love to talk about mental health and diversity. It's just like,
that part.
Like, like, come on, you know,
Yeah.
I think I just don't have the capacity for the bullshit anymore. I just don't.
I feel
So
it's I mean, the capacity of living in a world of bullshit is enough. You know what I mean? It's just
seriously,
like
I
existing.
live in a world of bullshit every fucking day. For real. Existing.
I am going to take this opportunity to notify the audience that I'm going to be wrapping up in a little bit here. So if you have any questions, drop them in the Q&A box. Don't put them in the chat. I will not look at the chat. Put them in the Q&A box. I would definitely look at the Q&A box.
Yes.
And thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Anyways, so I think that like a big sort of thread throughout your career and sort of how you approach your own career with the creatives that you work with is like advocacy, like allyship,
yeah, for sure,
etc. Where does that come from for you, and like what people, and you know, is it coming from oftentimes, you know, especially for Black people, like it's coming from a lack of having it and wanting to be the thing that you didn't have? Like where's it coming from for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly where it comes from. It comes from feeling left out. Like I'm a Black kid from Brooklyn who was doing opera. Like I wasn't like the coolest kid. Like, you know what I mean? And I was very lonely sometimes. And then, you know, I go to, you know, what I thought would be my dream job, and I found myself lonely again, and I found myself having to, like, you know, fight to find my community within the building and fight to find my allies within the building, where, you know, I would look at my counterparts and they would just, you know, they would get like this and like, oh, okay, let's go to lunch and do that. And you know, and then I would feel crazy for having asked, like, hey, like I need support, I need help, like this is like, could we do this? And I just to feel otherized, if that's even a word. I definitely felt that, you know, and you know, I'm you know, when you look this way, you immediately get the urban girl kind of like urban, which is really just basically like, you're Black, you can do Black music. And it's like, yeah, no shit, I can do Black music. It's in my DNA. Get the fuck out of here.
But like, I like the fray. Ever heard of Grey's Anatomy? Like...
yeah, like literally. So I've literally had to fight forever to be given the opportunity to present things in pop or present things in rock. And, you know, growing up in New York, where you see everybody all the time. Like I remember, I don't know, just like things about New York that are so different from other places. It's just like, yeah, we've always had gay kids. Like we've always had people with two parents. Like this was nothing new for me, you know? And so I've had a very inclusive look at the world because my city was like, I saw everything, you know? And then when I went to California, I was like, oh, this is different. It's definitely, I wouldn't say it's very blended in California like that.
It's not blended at all.
Actually. It's really not. It's really not. And you know, that was shocking. But then when I, you know, I moved back to New York and I went into the job and I just felt alone and it sucked. And I just decided that if I was ever to be an A&R, I would try to be the person who responded all the time. I would try to be the person who like was present. And sometimes and because I did that, I learned things. I learned that like most writers and producers just want you to listen to the record. Like most people just want to know you're there's another somebody on the other side, like, you know. And so if I needed to fill that void for somebody, I was willing to do that. And even when I was a receptionist, like when people wanted to send me shit, I was always like, sure, like, let me take a listen. But in the end, for me, it just wasn't hospitable. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, after a while, when you keep trying to connect or you keep trying to like, hey, I just want to be properly compensated and paid, like, what the fuck, you know, after a while, it's like, okay, well, why, now I just feel like an idiot because
Right.
I've repeatedly
Like, why are we still having this conversation?
like, why are we still having this conversation? Number one. Number two, like, you can't play with Billboard. So like when you're seeing success in the charts that like determine people's careers and you're still getting like gaslit, then you're just the stupid one. Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, they ain't never gonna see you. After a while, it's like, okay, I'm still in this situation. And once you start to look around, like, oh, like, it's the only good thing here about like good dental. Okay, like, so what the fuck am I doing here? And it sucks. So for me, you know, it's sad to say that like I totally have had the same stories. Like you and I probably have the same story. You, me, and like every Black woman or let's, you know, any woman that is different, like we face the same things again and again and again and again and again until we change our situation or until we become people in leadership that like can change that for the future. And so for me, I remember feeling like, okay, like I'm very much feeling like I'm my statistic of a Black woman in the workplace. And it's hurtful. Like it's hurt. You know how embarrassing it is to be like, fuck. Like, you know, the moment when you realize like, okay, I know why this person is saying this. I know I am being treated like this. And it's not because I'm not a hard worker. It's because of something else. And it's hurtful. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to go to your HR and be like, hey, I'm feeling like I'm not being valued. I'm feeling like some microaggressions. Like, I wish that corporate companies would understand like the toll it takes to come up with the courage to not only sit down and say that shit, but to even be like, okay, I need to make an appointment.
Acknowledge it to yourself.
Yeah. Excuse me. So to me, it was just very frustrating to feel like not only am I know what the fuck is happening to me, because like, let's just be clear. We know when people are being like microaggressive or they're being like low-key racist or they're discriminating against you. Like, you know, when you're being discriminated against. So by the time you sit with somebody who can do something about it and they're like, no, I think you're wrong.
Oh yeah, then the onus is on like, you to prove it, right? It's just like, well, I don't have an instance of the hard ER, but like, you know, like what else?
But it's just the fact that you think you have the right to tell me I'm wrong for something that I feel. Absolutely not. And I think in the end of the day, there is just a lot of massive change. Like we could donate to all of the charities you fucking want, but in the end of the day, like, if you're not doing the work, don't fucking talk, period. Like, if you don't actually want to see a diverse office, please save your like 100, like just shut the fuck up. Like, I don't need your 140 characteristics about like, I have Black friends, I am this, I understand, like, I don't fucking need that shit. Like, just do what you say.
Keep it on the playground.
Yeah. So anyways, for me, at the end of the day, it's all about advocacy and understanding like how you can help somebody. And sometimes, you know, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. But for me now, especially at Page One, I can't even tell you how much I love my colleagues. I love them so much.
So like, tell me about Page One. It's been about a year now. And it's like, it couldn't be more black and white of a experience that you had.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, it really is so great. So my boss, Ashley Page, is just a goat. He's just so cool. So he, I guess he started the company 8 or 9 years ago. And I'm just so proud because to have like a company where like your founder, you know, is not like, he's not from America. So to have this much success, like I'm just super fucking proud of like everything that he was able to do and the team has been able to do. But basically he's just great. And I've met him with like one of our big clients, Joe Little, like 7 years ago. And they had fun accents. So I was just like, let's just talk. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, when you know when you meet people with fun accents, it almost just sounds like music.
100%. You're like, let's talk all night.
Oh my gosh. Like, I love my Irish friends. Like, I wish they could just read me a story before I go to bed, because half the time I have no idea what they're saying if they're talking super fast, but I'm also just like, oh, you sound so pretty. But anyway, so my whole career, my boss had been like asking me questions like, what are you listening to? What do you like? Da, da, da. And like, I was a nothing, literally. And no matter what stage of my career I was at, like, he always made time to kind of sit and chat with me. And I loved that. And he had said to me like, oh, do you want to come over to management? And I was like, nope, I'm good. And then one day I was like, actually, like, let's talk about this. And so like, case in point in the difference, like, I was so stressed to leave because I've been comfortable, you know, when you're at a big corporation, you start to almost identify with this brand.
Sure.
It's so weird. It's such a mind fuck. You just start to be like, I am Sony, you know? And
yeah, right. And it's just like, damn,
you know,
am I drinking the Kool-Aid? When did that start happening?
Yeah. Oh, girl, the Kool-Aid was drunk. To the point where, like, when you get excited, like, I would get excited to be like, oh, Sony, and like, that's fucking ridiculous. But I was very much like a part of it. You start to get like, okay, we're Sony. But in the end, I just realized, like, I can't pay my bill. I can't pay my bills. That's a fucking problem, right? After 7 years, that's a problem.
After 7 years in New York fucking city.
New York City.
Publishing company in the world.
Yeah, I just needed to pay my bills. And I also wanted to be with a company that I felt like really felt good, like it felt safe, you know? And like, in particular, I was so stressed, and I told my boss, like, well, what if I fail? And what if I don't do this right? And all that. And he was just like, okay, if you fail, we fail together. And that's just never something I think about, because failure is not an option. Like, failure is death, you know? And I think that is also something that's ingrained in us as like women of color. Like, we cannot fail, because like every other Black child,
we rarely get a chance to fail more than once either.
Oh my gosh. And if you do fail, then you're always the one that failed. So I think there's a lot of psychological shit with that. And so, you know, what has been so lovely is to be able to ask all the questions that I want to ask, and to dream as big as I want to dream. Like, you know, I'm so supported. I don't even know what to do with it most of the time. But what the most important thing is like, you know, we talk about who we want to be in this industry, and like how we want people to interact with us, or like, you know, who we want to bring on. And we really, really labor over that. Like, you know, it's not about expansion just for fun. You know, it's about like finding the right kind of clients that make sense to our overall like vision. And, you know, he's put so much trust in me to bring people on. And it's just been so beautiful. So it's cool to like tag team with him, because he, you know, he knows so many people. But it's also nice to just be like, okay, like, he'll just like, okay, go fly. Like, every so often he'll kick me out of the nest, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. What if they don't respond? But it's always been great. It's like I'm in safe hands. And so it's just so important to be, you know, in an environment that where you're wanted, and where you're supported, and where you get to like dream. Like, yes, of course, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, let's find as much like work for our clients, let's do this for our clients. But at the end of the day, it really is about the music. It really is about like, how do they feel? What can we do today? Who needs a minute off? Like, how do we manage this stuff? And it's just been the most healing. It's been a very healing year. I will say that it's been really healing, and I'm really stoked.
I love that you're being valued in like the obvious tangible way, but like in intangible ways too. Like, that your personhood is being valued, that your diversity of perspective is being valued, that your expertise is being valued, that your heart is being valued, that your mental health is being valued. Like that, I love that for you, because it was not giving at the other spot.
It was not and giving. Also, like, it makes me want to hug you so bad. Virtuals.
All right,
Yeah.
I got a few questions here from the
Okay.
folks.
Okay.
Ronja Brox. Ronja, I hope I said that right. If I didn't, eat my ass up. Ronja Brox wants to know what makes a great A&R.
Ooh, empathy, number one. Because
That's a good answer.
if I mean, like if you don't like
And too many of these niggas out here wouldn't give it. Excuse me, no N words on the live
no,
stream,
it's
but
okay.
too many of the A&Rs out here would not
gonna do
give
shit.
it.
They will not.
Anyways.
They will not. But empathy for sure. But also like a willingness to understand that, like, yes, you want to find things that like get your heart going. But depending on where you are, you need to sign things that will also pay the bills. And that was a really hard lesson for me to learn in the beginning because, like, you know, I'm coming from an Alexandra Pizarra. It's like, I just put the fray on and they're huge. So I thought, like, when I first was doing A&R, I was like, I'm gonna find an indie band and they're gonna be so great. And then I realized, like, nah, I can't do that. I can't do that all the time, you know? And so for me, I had to literally sign like an Ayo or a Jay White or anybody who had like the money to be able to sign like a little baby guy. And so I'm lucky enough that like at the time I had bosses who allowed me to take like small financial risks. But yeah, empathy, knowing what to sign that is good for the company and good for you, but not being afraid to sign things that might not completely identify with you as like a person or a listener, but it might be good for somebody else who is a listener, so it's worth it to like invest in that way. Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes complete sense.
Okay.
Me.
Thank you.
Ranja also wants to know, are there any qualities that you recognize in your peers and or early role models that you attribute to your own success?
Oh my God, 100%.
Good question.
Yeah, these are great questions. 100%. So big one is Walter Jones. Shout out to Walter Jones, who is now back at Sony. He used to be at Universal and we met at Sony. I mean, he is just really kind. And when I was his assistant, I would just see how he would handle his clients, and it was really calm. It was very, like, he was so calm. And I noticed like that kind of energy, like when you're calm and you're cool and we're just having a conversation, it's very, what's the word? Oh my God, I have COVID brain. What is the word when you're like, you walk in and you feel okay? Disarming. It's very disarming. He has like a disarming, gosh.
I was like, girl, calm. You just said it 2 times.
Ow, it hurts to laugh low.
Sorry, baby. Sorry. Okay.
It's okay. But like, yeah, he's just super disarming. And I love that about him. And then another one is Brian Monaco. He is the head of
shout out to Brian.
Shout out to Brian Monaco, who is the CEO, whatever, the CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, whatever. He's in sync, and kind of watching how he did, you know what it is? It's watching. Watch these people. Watch these people. Just like watching how people move and how people interact with executive or interacts with creatives. It says a lot about who they are as people. And so one thing I learned from Brian was to just like, sometimes it's okay to be a sniper from the side and just like take it all in before you do the most. That's a big one. Geez, those are my big two. And then obviously from like Ashley, I mean, my gosh, she teaches me so much stuff. Like mostly patience, and like he's also a fellow Gemini. So like, I mean, my goodness, like working with your sign is also kind of great because like we just really get each other.
You understand the rhythm. You get you get all the quirks.
Literally, he's like literally, I just understand him a lot. And I think for me myself as like past childhood trauma and also like trauma as an adult, like a fear of being misunderstood is so real for me. So I think that's made me an over explainer. And so when I find someone who just gets it with me, it feels like really, really good. And so yeah, that's a very long answer. But thank you for that question.
That's a good answer, though. It's a good answer.
Thank you.
Jackson Valle wants to know any tips for finding allies you can trust in the music world and workplace.
Ooh,
Another good question. Y'all are doing it today.
You guys
Look
are
at y'all.
doing really, really. I mean, okay, number one, go with your gut. Because you know when people fuck with you and you know when people don't. And like, for example, I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on, you guys. Okay, so for example,
You got COVID, girl.
No, I have COVID. Wear a mask. Still. Shit. So, this cloud is so pretty. I wish I could show you. But anyway, so basically what I've learned, because there's been people that I've wanted so badly to like learn from or to be my mentor. And they just like were not it. Like they just either were super disinterested or I felt like this kind of like, you know, and I think when I was younger, I would have really tried to like, no, be it like, I would try to be a pick me bitch essentially. But now I've realized, no, sometimes that's the universe being like, that's not your path. Like, that's not your person. Or maybe it's like danger, like don't actually do this. Yeah, I think you follow your gut, but also like I really believe that an open heart will lead you to the people you need to know. Like when I first did my first LA trip last summer, I was so nervous because it was my first LA trip, not like being a part of this major corporation. And I'm so lucky that one of my early meetings was with the women of Nonstop Management. Shout out to Nonstop. I can't even tell you how much I love them. I love Bianca and Christina Lee, and there's a bunch more. A lot of C words. No, not C words. Their names just start with C. Their names just start with C. I love them. I love them so much. They're like the most amazing. They're like, God, I told you I have COVID brain bad. But I was so grateful because I like one of my first meetings was with them and they were just so warm and so loving. And it was just, we had a very healing rando conversation. And I was like, oh my God, I love you guys. And in addition, like in management, there's competition, but it's not like I don't want you to win competition, right? Like there's a different kind of support I feel in management that I definitely didn't kind of feel that peer-to-peer in A&R on the corporate side. So it's really fun now to have like other management companies that I've always respected, like, you know, we're shoulder to shoulder in this now. And it's really great, but like, especially my Nonstop people, I love them so much. And it's just nice. It's just nice to find your crew, but definitely find your crew, but you don't want to force it. Like just put that energy out there. Don't force it. Yeah.
Another good answer. This is from Ren GM. One thing about Ren GM, baby, you gonna come to the Backstage Pass. Ren stays in the chat box.
Thank you.
It's about to be a good ass question.
Oh my God, what is this quest?
Well, what would be the right way to approach a manager? And what does a manager, in your opinion, look into what makes you work with an artist?
Okay, that's a really good question. Well, I think it depends on where you are in your career and what the manager is willing to do. So for me right now, because I'm still getting my sea legs a little bit, I don't have the capacity to like break off a brand new talent at this moment because I'm still trying to like, how do I get these people who actually have shit going on? Like, I need to keep them like going before I can like take a risk on somebody who's relatively new. So I would say number one, know where you're at. Number two, just remember managers get paid. So if you have enough things going on that you're like, yeah, I can give someone 20% because it's that time, like then cool, you're ready. But I think people fall into trouble doing it prematurely because and I know this is like a double-edged sword here, so like you really got to be super discerning when deciding if you want management or not and deciding on who to approach, because one, a manager is going to ask you to sign a contract and ask to like take some of your net income based off of whatever this agreement is. But you also want to be ready that you really need a manager. So once you feel like that, maybe you have an attorney who will know other managers and kind of hook you up with like meeting certain managers. That's a really safe way to do it, because sometimes attorneys really know the tea with like really great managers. They have people that they love, you know, and people that they work with. But again, like when it comes to finding your team, your gut game has to be so good. It just has to be so good. I could say so many different things, but at the end of the day, what feels right for you will win overall. So I would say no. When you're ready, when you are ready, ask around too. Ask your like music crew, your music community will know really great managers, hopefully. But then you can just like politely be like, hey, like, can I have a conversation with you? Are you looking to like have new hires or new clients? That was a long one, but basically
it was good though. Yeah, you hit all that.
Thanks, man.
I would also say on the artist end, like management is the most important relationship of your career.
Oh yeah.
So take your fucking time with it, and it has to feel good.
Take your time.
I'm not in management.
Yeah.
I'm not in management anymore because I was just like, I have like a real family that I have to like talk to. You feel me? Like, you know what I mean? So like it's that vibe.
Yeah.
And so it's a person you're gonna talk to more than anything. It's a person you're gonna argue with more than anything. It's a person you're gonna collaborate
it's like
with
a family
more than anyone else.
member.
It's giving spouse.
It's giving spouse. It's giving spouse. It's giving mom.
It's
too.
giving spouse. It's giving adult babysitter. It's giving parent. It's giving.
It's giving management.
It's giving everything. Yeah, it's giving management.
You know. That's hilarious.
Good answer.
Thank you. Good answer for you
COVID
too.
brain where, girl?
I know. I mean, who knows what's gonna happen in the next like hour? COVID is weird.
It's giving passed out on that little chaise lounge in the next 25 minutes.
Literally. Oh my gosh. This is fun.
This next question, I'm not gonna lie to you, Divya Silva. I don't like this question at all, and I'm gonna tell you why. Is racism really common in most music industries?
Yes.
Not in means to offend, smiley face. Let me tell you something, Divya.
It is.
A couple of days ago, people were grocery shopping, and 10 of them died from a crazed white supremacist with an automatic rifle, just because they look like us.
Yep.
So it's actually not about the music industry, right? Like
it's about America as a whole. Yeah.
It's called white supremacy.
White supremacy.
So it's not about the music industry. It's about everything.
And it's about everything. It's in the music industry.
All up in the mix.
The government. It's up on your
It's everywhere.
It's really real. And you know what? Yeah, it was an interesting question. I'm not gonna lie, but I also feel like you know that. Like, you know,
you definitely know that.
Question. That's like being like,
which is why I'm mad about it. And quite frankly, I'm not thrilled about you asking that question to two fucking Black women on a live stream, to be quite honest.
Not the
so
best
the short answer,
yes.
Divya, is like yes, but also you know that it's everywhere. And if you don't know that, that means that you're benefiting from it.
Or kind of means that you might be sort of racist. So
it's giving all of the above.
Weird flex. Flex. Option D.
Anyway,
yes, you know that.
On to Sarah.
Thanks,
Sarah says, thanks so much for sharing your story. I'm currently working in a very different industry, but I've always had a deep desire to work in music. What kind of skills would you look for in someone that you're hiring, either as an artist you're signing or as a colleague? Nice, Sarah.
Oh my goodness. Colleague passion, for sure. Because if you have a passion to learn this, like, why not try and give somebody an opportunity if they're willing to work hard? You know what I mean? Like, I was given an opportunity and I was willing to work hard. And I, you know, in my head, I'm not even gonna front. Like that is something that I hope I get to do one day. It's just like, here, you get a job, you get a job. Cool, come on over. Like it would be so nice to have an Oprah moment. But passion is really big. Like understanding, like if you aren't currently working in the music industry and you want to go in on a corporate side, it might be like pretty important to try and get something in the music industry currently, because it's just hard. It's hard to get that bag, that corporate bag. But for me, I would look at like who's super passionate, like are they good humans? What do they know? What do they don't know? I would make an assessment and then like kind of go from there. In terms of an artist, it really would just be like, what's their fan base right now, or how far will it take? How long will it take to build one? What does their music sound like? Is their music selling? Who knows them? The industry is small, so like most of the time when there's like a little baby come up artist, someone knows about it. And this also kind of goes into like reaching out to A&Rs and asking them to sign you. Just like I say this every single time, like when you're ready, they will find you. They literally have people paid to try and find someone popping off. So like, yes, you can reach out and ask for something. I rarely see that. I rarely see people get deals from hitting up somebody in a DM. It really is like, well, how great is your music and is it selling? So yeah, there's several factors, but as far as hiring for us, it really is like, okay, like what do they know? How passionate are they? Are they good people? And will they represent the company really well? Literally night and day, like shit.
Night and day. My very basic threshold for doing business over the last 10 years at least is just like, do I want to talk to this person on the phone?
Right.
And or will I like roll my eyes if their name pops up in my inbox? That's just like baseline for me.
Yeah. Wait, can I also can I say one more thing? Because like there's just something about that previous question that like I just want to address real quick, right? You can tell that there's still racism in this industry when there are so many people who get to exist in Black spaces. You know, like Black culture is super welcoming. Like that's the reason why there is like certain artists that get to play around and rap in R&B, which is like predominantly a Black culture genre. But whereas on the flip side, if you will, we don't really see a lot of Black pop stars. We don't see a lot of Black country stars. We don't see a lot of Black rock stars, right? And just the simple fact that that's where we're at, and we are, you know, we as a community often have to exist within the confines of whatever urban music is. And that's where we get to live. But yet, everyone can live in our urban music, and then they could also be a pop star tomorrow, or they could be like a rock star.
They can play around. They can
play
Machine
around.
Gun Kelly play it. They can rap for a couple years and then be a pop punk star.
Exactly, and like more power to MGK. Like awesome, but like I just don't see that kind of fluidity with other people of different races. So yeah, racism exists in the music industry.
It's giving Doja sweeping the BVMAs in the R&B category.
Ooh.
When she is arguably the biggest pop star in the world.
She's a massive pop star. Are you kidding me?
So anyway, Divya, that's why we got so pissed off.
But I hope you did learn something. Yeah.
Divya said, "I'm so sorry. I'm actually not an American. I'm like 18. Never too early to learn a lesson.
Never too early to learn. And also, welcome to America, because America is racist as
Ron
fuck.
Brox. The world is racist as fuck, but we don't have enough time for that today.
Nope.
Ron Brox, we see you, baby. Thank you for being here. Kazumi Ohishi says, hi, nice to meet you. What's important in music? Thanks for inviting me. That was cute.
What's important in music? that is such a good question. I don't know.
That's a big ass question.
I mean,
actually.
it depends on what part of music. Corporate music, money. Make music that makes money in corporate across the board. I don't even know how to answer. I don't even have anything witty to say about that because it's really like
I'd say it depends on the context.
it does depend on your context. Yes. It depends on the context. I think for music purists, like for those of us who painfully listen to music to like isolate. Actually, wait, is this a those of us thing? Let me ask you, Lo, when you listen to a new song that like everything about it is amazing, do you listen to it on repeat and then try to isolate certain things? Like sometimes I'll listen and be like, I wonder if I could play that bass line, and I will just try and isolate that. Is that insane?
Baby, no, that's not insane at all. Not only do I do this, but I do this on every, like if I zoom in on a song, then I'll listen to that song on every set of headphones that I have. Like I've got my Beats, I've got my DJ headphones, I've got my studio headphones, I've got my studio monitors. I'll go like sit in the car with it. I'll literally listen to it in every single context that I have to listen to it.
Yeah, okay. So you just took it so much further, and all I'm thinking is like, I need to get better headphones now because that's what I definitely like need to do. So I feel like for the music purists, like the people who love music, it's definitely creativity. Like I'm always wanting to listen to something super different, but like wanting to listen to something different that still will give me that like ear candy hook. Like I don't care how fucking wild it is, but like give me that ear candy hook. That's something that I can sign. Like I can absolutely like, all right, I know I can get this here. It might be weird, but just wait till that chorus. Oh, that's like my favorite thing ever. But mostly it's probably
that's my favorite
money.
thing ever. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's unfortunately it's money.
It's money until we take over.
Yeah.
It's like, do I even want that? I don't know.
Girl, I don't know either.
I don't know.
There's 2 more questions here.
Okay.
There's 3 more questions here, and then that's it, y'all. These last
I'm getting a COVID flash.
I can see. Danny's fighting for her life right now. We gotta wrap this shit up.
Sorry, I love you guys.
Leah Jean Denley wants to know, when pivoting into this space from another industry that you've been in for over 20 years, what approach do you suggest one should use to gain approval and or credibility? Y'all are smart as hell, by the way.
Yes. Approval and credibility. Oh, this is a tough one, right? Because, okay, so genuinely, when it comes to like the corporate shit, when it comes to mainstream stuff, it's all about like who's buying your songs and how much money are you making? What's your exposure? Data. I hate to say that, but that is true. But I do feel that when it comes to acceptance and credibility, I really believe that has to start with you first. And I'm not trying to be hippy dippy here, because I feel like everyone's level of success is different. And there are some super brilliant, you know, these people too, like super brilliant, talented musicians, artists, all of that will never have a record deal, that will probably never ever be like huge, but they're great. And sometimes I think it's important to be like, okay, am I okay with being this creative person and not having the $1 million success? Am I still okay in this? You know? And even as like an executive, I have to think that way. Like, am I still okay doing this, even if I'm not like Hot 100 or like Billboard 40 under 40, the #1, you know, like I just.
And it's an ongoing conversation with yourself. Like it's one that you got to check in with yourself about often.
Yeah. And so I think if you're chasing acceptance or all of that, like that's scary to me, because I've kind of done that and it didn't make me feel good, right? Like, I think it's really important for self-acceptance. I really think it's important to be like, whether I win or lose, whether my shit pops off or not, like I'm good, I'm happy. I like, if this doesn't go anywhere, I'm happy. But you know, there's things that you can do to be more seen. I don't think there's anything that anybody can do to be accepted or respected, like just in general, unless you're making a shit ton of money. Like I know it's crazy, but really, unless you have like shit that's that is earning, you know, like, and even then you can have things that earn and then like the next year you don't have as much success, and then you're back to like, how do I get accepted and all that. So it's really important to be okay with yourself. It is really important to accept where you're at and where you're going and where you might not go, and then kind of feel like, is this even worth, you know what I mean? Am I making any sense?
Yeah.
Because to me, like,
no, you're making complete sense. Yeah.
like when I think it's you need to be careful because you don't want to put yourself in a toxic cycle of trying to find people who just are not going to accept you. Like, people aren't going to accept you all the time, and that is okay. As long as you love yourself and accept yourself, and you know that your music is hot, or you know, like, this is great, whether the deal comes or not, like, I'm going to keep it going. Awesome. But to really be accepted in the music industry, it's so fleeting. But success is marked by sales here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I don't want that to be discouraging. Please love on yourself.
Oh no, I don't think that's I mean, for me, like, sort of like the thing that we always tell people, and you know, it's the reason we started this organization, is just like, you got to find your why, because oftentimes when everything else is insane,
oh my
everything
God,
else is in flux, and you can't decide if you give a fuck about money or if you give a fuck about soul, and just like all these negotiations you're constantly making with yourself. If you hold your why as the top center front of your boat, it's good, because you're still you're steady. You can,
oh my
you can
gosh,
guide yourself in the direction that your why leads you. And usually, in my experience, your why will always lead you to where you're supposed to be.
Every single time. And I think that is the lesson that I wish someone told me when I first started. I wish someone was like, hey, you know what really matters is your friends and your family and your community. And I didn't notice that until my wedding day. Like, I knew it, but then on my wedding day, in my reception, I'm like looking at this room of like the most incredible people, like people from all walks of our lives, and people in the music industry, people not in the music industry. And I was just like, oh my God, like every single person in this room like matters. It still like gets me to this day, because that was my aha moment where I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I have missed birthdays, I missed family time, I missed big milestones. And we do that for this career because it's like, oh, I just got to get to this next level. And then when you get there, you're like, really? Like
and then you're looking for the next level, and then you're on and on and on and on and on and on.
Yes. So it's just like so important to love yourself and accept yourself no matter what. Like, all that other shit will come. And also, if you have good music, like, it will find a way. I know it's crazy.
It really will.
It really will.
Especially in this climate with all the technology that we have, and the way that you can speak directly to fans. You don't even need, you know,
you really don't.
Sony ATV building if you don't want to, you know,
you don't need any of it if you don't want it. Yeah.
Kazumi wants to say, please tell me the source of your inspiration.
Ooh, that is so good. Who the fuck is the source of my information? That is a really good question. I don't know.
It probably changes, right?
Honestly, you know what? This is gonna be so emotional. Oh, we're getting so
We've been getting emotional all day here. Look at us.
Oh my God. Okay, so honestly, I feel like I do this for me. I know this sounds like crazy narcissistic. It's really not. It's just, I think oftentimes, also I'm in like major therapy because like I'm going through like, I'm trying to figure out my life, right? But one thing that I realized is like, especially if you've like been raised in like a kind of a gnarly household or whatever, like you're always kind of protecting yourself, right? And your brain is working to protect yourself all the time. And there's moments in my life where I will think back to like 6-year-old me who was super tired, who did not want to go to a rehearsal or didn't want to go to a show, and I did it, right? And sometimes I just feel like I work hard for her, you know? Fuck, I do not want to cry on Twitter. So look.
That inner child talk will get your ass
that inner
every
child
single
shit will get
time.
you. Yeah, because like, you know what? You have to like want this for yourself. Self-love is so important. And there's times where it's like, I'm realizing at the end of the day, once I've realized I don't actually have to compete with anybody, like I'm competing with myself. So I do this because I think in deep down, I need to prove to myself that I can, that I'm good enough, that I can make it, that I do belong here. Because I think my inner child always feels on the outside, like always feels like there's more that I need to accomplish. So there's more that I need to do. And I hope for me at the end of my career, I can just look back and be like, I did this because I loved it and just for fun, and less of like wanting to prove that I belong and that I'm worthy of being here. Jesus fucking Christ. I didn't know that somehow
crying. You about to make me cry like down to the
because I just
down
like
to the
saw
live
my
stream,
little
crying with
self.
your ass.
Jeez.
I know,
just
she's
saw
probably
little
cute.
Danielle. She's really cute. Little Danielle is really cute. And she just really wanted to do what she loves and have friends, you know? And I love this game. Like, I love music. I love that I'm so lucky that I am in this position. And I'm mostly even more lucky that like I've been protected in the ways that I've been protected. Like, I can't even tell you enough how much I love my boss, because I think if I did not have the certain people who just were there when I was really hurting, I don't know if I'd be here today, and that's on God. Like, I just don't know if I would be here. So this is why I say, like, it is so important to love yourself. It is so important to not like chase this idea of making it, because your success is yours. Like, I think Jimmy Iovine said something incredible years ago, which was like, put your fucking blinders on. And sometimes when you're on the other side of the desk, which is like an A&R, an executive, or you're just like trying to come up, we look to our left, we look to our right, and we see our peers grow at different rates, and it could be really damaging. And so that's when you kind of got to get a little quiet, and you got to like find out, and maybe it's writing it out. At least for me, I had to like write out like what is this? Like, at the end of it all, like, what is it? And now at the end of it all is like, I want my family good. I want my friends good. I want to own a house one day, which to me is like so foreign to own property. It seems so far away. But like, that's my inspiration. Like, I'm fighting to have the life that I love, and the life that I love, yes, it involves music, but it involves my husband and my friends and the people that I love. Like, at the end of the day, that is what's inspiring, is my community. So like, do not get like me at your wedding day and be like, oh my God, I get it now. That's too late, you know? And I can't, I've lost, oh my God, I'm really going to do this. Holy shit. Oh, sorry.
D, please.
I'm so sorry.
Please.
I'm sorry. I just like, my friend died. Oh, I'm so sorry, you guys. My friend passed away like out of nowhere when Biden was finally called for the presidency, and I just was so shocked. I remember being so shocked, like, what? Like, it was out of nowhere. She got rapidly sick and she died, and she has 3 kids. And all I was thinking about was like, I allowed my like stubbornness to be successful, and to like, you know, don't say yes to vacations, not say no to like birthdays. And I allowed my personal life to take a backseat so that I could have this level of success that never came from the company that I had like worked really hard for. So it was a harrowing moment to be like, what did I just give away? Like, I sacrificed time with people that I really love, that really love me, that are not here anymore. So, oh my God. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like, you come first, your community comes first, all of that other stuff. all of that other stuff will come, but it's not important. You're important. Your friends are important. Having to be able to look back, like the fact that I have friends still shocks me, because I could be so laser focused on my career that I forget, like, people love you, Danielle, and people like want to support you. Like, spend the time. So like, if that's just encourages one person to just like take a moment off, take a day off of like trying really hard to get to this like idea, or this Hollywood idea of the music industry, like, invest in your friendships, invest in the people who will have your back when you do get the big job, or you do get the big deal, and or you do like get to that level that you always want. Because like the worst is to get there and then to not have anybody. Like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. And that's, at the end of the day, it's beyond being kind to others. You gotta be kind to yourself. Like, you gotta be kind to yourself and love yourself first. Ugh.
I think that's a really good place to end it, girl.
I'm so sorry.
Now we cannot. This is like true facts, y'all. We, the two of us, have a track record of getting on video talking about something completely different and somehow ending up crying at the end.
Oh my god,
it's our brand.
It is our brand. Our truth.
Last question, and it is from me. You're sitting in front of younger Danielle, maybe six-year-old little Danielle on a way to opera practice. What do you say to her? And don't get to crying again.
I'm really trying hard not to. I would say that I am so proud of you. And I would say you are resilient. And I would say take a rest. It's okay. Definitely take a rest. It's okay. You know, I feel like as women, and this is beyond just like women of color, it is hard for us to rest. And I think there's this massive toxic femininity that's like, you go girl boss, like everything's fine. You're
I'm
great.
trying to lean out, baby. Why y'all are asking me to lean in all the damn time? I'm trying to be like this.
I'm really trying to like, can I just have a break? And it's really toxic, because I think there's this idea of a superwoman who like just works all the time and like figures out how to have 18 kids and a CEO position. But at the end of the day, like, it's okay to just say you're not okay, and also like take a rest, literally. And I never knew that was okay. Isn't that crazy? Like, I really am just learning at 36, like, it's okay to calm down. It's okay to like, you can't work this week, you have COVID.
Well, nobody tells you that, right?
Nobody.
In fact, like, not only as women, especially as women, right? But like our capitalistic society in general rewards you for burnout, basically, because that's how the machine keeps going, right?
Can we just not burn out? Like,
no burning out, y'all. No burning out, but leaning out.
Leaning out. And also like find your community who like encourages you to take care of yourself. Like, I'm so lucky to have the friends that I have who are like, just stop, like, relax. I need that all the time. Yeah.
I adore you.
I adore you too. I really do love you.
Yeah, I love you really too. And I'm so somebody said, please make this an ongoing podcast and or conversation.
You know what?
Where you're sharing is so important.
I think about podcasting, but like, I don't really know how to do it. But if you were to do like a really good podcast, I'd come and talk with you. That would be fun.
Would you come talk with me?
I would come and talk with you. We could talk about so many things, and then like tie it back to the music industry, but also like
tie it back to the music industry, and also make sure to cry at the end.
Make sure it's a healing cry, you guys. It really is though. Like shit.
It really is. You fill my cup in ways I can't describe. I'm so proud of you. And I'm so honored to be
don't do
part of
this.
your tribe. in your community. Now I'm about to do it. Let me just rush through this shit. Danny, I love you. We'll talk soon off camera. Let's cry. Let's move the crying off camera.
Okay. I love you guys. And also thank you for every single person who turned in. This has been so fun.
Yeah, Femme House fan. Thank
yo,
you.
Femme House fan. And hold up, like Femme House, y'all don't even know how I am equally proud of you. First of all, I love that you are doing this. I love that you are a light in a dark place. Literally, I love that you are sanctuary. Thank you for blessing me and being my sister. Oh, fuck. Daddy, what is happening?
I'm hitting the red leave button. Enough is enough. This has been Backstage Pass, the crying edition, apparently. I love you, Danny. I love all of y'all. Shout out to Sophia, who's there recording all this.
Sophia.
Probably
oh
crying.
My God. Sorry. Mercury's retrograde.
Bye.
I'm PMSing. I have COVID. Like everything is gonna make me cry. So I apologize. But like with love, like thank you for being my sister and thank you for doing this and being in our community and know that like I got you for real.
Let's do another
yeah. All right, I love you.
Peace, fam. See ya.
Peace out. Bye guys.